Welcome to our virtual session. What does the next generation of software look like? We're excited to show off our Shinydrive product and our cognitive suite of tools. And taking the reins to do that is Jason Cassidy, founder and CEO of Shinydocs. Jason has been solving digital enterprise technology challenges for over 20 years as a new product developer and entrepreneur. His award-winning solutions are transforming the digital landscape from traditional ECM to modern content services. And Jason is the driving force behind Shinydocs' success as OpenText Technology Partner of the Year for 2016, 2017, 2019, and its best-selling third-party technology worldwide. So without further ado, I hand you over to Jason.
So hi, I'm Jason Cassidy. I'm the CEO of Shinydocs Corporation. We have been OpenText SolEx Partner of the Year for 3 out of the last 4 years, based upon sale of our Shinydrive technology that sits ahead of OpenText Content Suite and the OpenText Documentum Suite as well. And we very much appreciate everybody joining today. We're going to talk today about Shinydrive and some Shinydocs Cognitive Toolkit and just give a preview of what the next generation of content management looks like. Everybody's familiar with the problem that we're trying to solve. In this case, this is a view of some customer information from the point of view of content created per month, going back to the year 1999. And as you can see, there's an acceleration associated with this data. The information comes from automated systems, the information comes from you and me, and the information comes from our partners and vendors as well. And all of this requires care and records management. And of course, it requires data reduction as well, because not all of it is supporting our business processes. What we need is an omni approach. How do we get more people using enterprise content management systems? And how do we supplement those enterprise content management systems with intelligent information management that is going to help reduce the overall content and flatten this accelerating curve, as well as making more information available to the right people at the right time. That's what we're going to cover today. So the problem itself is across many, many systems. So there's people with their desktops, there's email, there's other systems, there's third-party file sharing, in addition to line of business and legacy systems. All of these things create content and unstructured content that deserves management. And a lot of times this information has to support litigation, this information has to support business activities and assets. And the issue that we have, of course, is how do we get all of this information under management? And in this case, we're going to be talking about OpenText Content Suite or OpenText Documentum. And how do we get more people using that in order to manage this information? So the first product that I'm going to show you is our Shinydrive product. And it's had quite a bit of success, not because it has a better features or other technology, but just because it simplifies the experience of enterprise content management. When we look at a typical use case is how do you get thousands of people to use a new system, whether it's OpenText Content Suite or anything else? How do you get thousands of people trained on it and buying into it? It's difficult, but if you give them a Shinydrive to use, we have many use cases where there's just more people use it more regularly, just because they can't tell the difference between that and their local file shares or their enterprise file shares. So let's have a quick look at some of the best features of Shinydrive Client. So in this case, I'm looking at OpenText Content Suite. Happens to be some engineering drawings. There's DWGs, DWFs in here, and other things. In order for a casual user to be able to consume and view this information, perhaps mark up a DWF file, it would be actually quite difficult because you would require plugins and some proprietary knowledge in order to use these applications. But with the Shinydrive, it simplifies the whole experience. These engineering drawings just are native. They show up and will be modifiable by their native applications. In this case, Autodesk Design Review. I can mark up the document, I can make my changes and click Save. So here's a drawing, and of course I can use my tools and manipulate this information. I save the document, and now this document is saved as a new version within OpenText Content Suite. The end user doesn't need to know anything additional about how to use OpenText Content Suite, what it is that OpenText Content Suite is doing for them. All they know is they click on the document, they make their change, and they click Save. And of course, this works equally well across linked Excel documents. It works very well across all sorts of different types of documents. The system itself is tightly integrated with the underlying content management system. You can automatically reserve the documents and unreserve the documents for exclusive access. And the access controls are exclusively controlled by the underlying content management system. So when we have a look, the permissions themselves are the OpenText Content Suite permissions. The audit history, the version history are all intact. This is not another system that creates a copy of anything. This is literally your OpenText Content Suite in real time. But your end users don't really have to know anything new about how their applications work or how to access OpenText Content Suite. Quite often, these applications are most useful from within an environment like the communication environment of Outlook. And Shinydocs works exactly the same inside of Outlook as it works on your desktop. It's the same desktop application menu, is the same capabilities, and all of this happens without any end user training. One interesting feature of Shinydrive is it works fully offline. Any document that you have previously touched, any document that you make available offline, in this case, I will make all of the CAD drawings available offline. All of these documents now will follow me around if I get on the plane or if I do any other activity where I don't have connectivity. Each of the H drive, along with all of these documents, will follow me around. And when I make changes to these files, then of course they will sync up with OpenText Content Suite when I get back online. So this is the simplified experience for OpenText Content Server. You can buy it from your OpenText Content Server rep, and of course we're happy to talk to you about this application. Now going on to the next problem that we'd like to talk about is our Shinydrive does require humans, people, to do interaction with the system and save their content in there. But what we found is the generation of content, like the amount of records generated by organizations and the amount of incoming information has far exceeded the pace that people with a Shinydrive could actually save fast enough to get all this information into an OpenText Content Suite. So our question is, how do you move this line up? How do you make it such that more people can get more information under records management? And you do that through automation. So I'm going to quickly talk about some automation capabilities that complement this enterprise content management activity. We'll look at the same situation as before. You have shared drives and desktops and other systems. You want to get that into your OpenText Content Suite, or perhaps you need to be able to figure out what information should go into what place. And we have Shinydocs Cognitive, which does exactly that. We make the information fully searchable, and we layer on enterprise content management value, and through Content Server, layer on records management value. If you think of the cost associated with not complying with the requirement to get information under records management, you see that the costs are awfully high. Just through fines alone, it can often pay for the entire records management program for some organizations. So what we do with the Shinydocs Cognitive, which I'll show you shortly, we organize which information are records, which information is redundant, obsolete, and trivial, and which information might have lower business value or unknown value. And we continue to refine that information and understanding. And we naturally align the knowledge with the information lifecycle. What we're trying to do is create more maturity for the customers. Most customers are sitting somewhere in here between data management and information management, meaning that they know where their information is, they have a good sense of what might be in there, but they aren't giving it the proper records management lifecycle, and it's certainly not be easily found in order to support a business application. We want to push customers further up this chain into the idea of knowledge management and deep understanding of their content, and we do that through content automation. So let me walk through a couple of different examples of how that works. Going over to this environment, the very first thing that we do is create a visualization and understanding of what the content is. And this happens quite quickly. Across shared drives, we can do this visualization of hundreds of terabytes of shared drive information in a matter of a day or two. In this case, we're looking at some open government data. And this open government data is mostly email, mostly PDFs, but there are CAD drawings and other information in there as well. The first initial view, we see that there's 14,000 documents in there. This is just local on my machine. We scaled to petabytes of information, 14,000 documents. There's 13,482 that are unique. We can search for every word on every page of 14,132 of those documents. And you get that initial view of mostly PDF, lots of email messages, and lots of other CSV, zips, Excel, all sorts of other documents out there. Now that's interesting, but we want to show how we can layer on far more content understanding without much work on the part of the end users and much work on the part of the data stewards or records managers. So we do have built-in tools for identifying specific meta information and then doing classification and content understanding. The first view, we have a look at email. Of course, we understand top senders, top receivers, and can interrogate this information. We extract entities using natural language, finding every person. We find every organization that's mentioned. And this is all done using artificial intelligence. So we don't have a big dictionary of every possible person's name. The AI actually reads the content and finds the intersection of different people's names. And then, of course, it's more interesting to find content by its actual classification. So in this case, what drug submissions do we have? What job offers do we have? What design documents do we have? Using our tooling, we can quickly identify this information. The goal really is to make a more powerful experience for your end users. All of this is fantastic administrative tools and data stewardship tools, but sitting on top of this is a very powerful discovery engine. If we want to search for particular people's names, very straightforward. So maybe to support some type of compliance activity, find out everywhere where Richard Plett's name is used in there. 2 documents, looks like it's probably a duplicate. But I'll show you another example. Say I'm looking for a CRTC document from 2011. This is your typical search that you might do through an open text content suite or through a SharePoint. And you get these types of results. It's kind of keyword based. This is probably a good top hit just through word frequency, but the system itself doesn't really know what you're looking for. So we're going to find information everywhere these keywords are found. We'll find them not just in CRTC documents, but we'll find them in film board documents and other places. We don't want to have to sift through thousands and thousands of documents in order to find the one that we want. It's way better to have an engine like Shinydocs Cognitive identify the facets for you. In this case, I'm going to find the intersection of the classification, then along with 2011. And we find that now we've narrowed the scope of our documents down to about 6 documents, and the best hit has come up, the 2011 commercial radio document. So that's far more powerful, and it's also permission controlled. So if these documents are in your open text content suite, if they're on your shared drive, if they're in a SharePoint, we respect the permissions, and we make that available to end users. So you'll probably ask, how did we classify these documents? Well, we use the same enterprise index that we have, this analytics engine, and then layer on some artificial intelligence technology on top of that. So let's have a look at how that works underneath the hood. In this case, I'm going to find that same document using our Discovery Desktop tool. And let me show you how easy it is to find similar documents to this one. In this case, it's 2011 to 2015 commercial radio document. So what if you wanted to find every document that follows a substantially similar pattern to this? Well, I'll set up my threshold to say, show me every document that's 75% similar. I right click and I say find similar. Of course, this thing here is just the Excel version of that PDF document. But let's look at this. This looks substantially different than that. So let's have a look. This is our exemplar document. And here's another document. You notice that the date's kind of different. The title's a little bit different, but you can really see why the artificial intelligence has picked these out as similar documents. This allows us to quickly just right-click, set a classification on the result sets, and then identify them. We can also identify across different information. For example, if we found a bunch of drug submissions, but we want to identify them by their particular drug, we have the capability of pre-calculating a search just based upon a list of drugs. So this is very powerful. Let's say that you want to do a migration into OpenText Content Suite. We've already set up some folders for Lipitor and Zoloft, our highest population drug submissions, and we'd like an automated way for them to get into the system. We do the classification exactly using that technique that I showed, and then we'll set up a scheduled task that goes off and finds all the documents that are Zoloft and Lipitor and move them into my OpenText Content Suite. So I'll run this, and these things typically run overnight. They'll be looking at your content and finding this information in an automated way, so you don't need to have people going through and finding the information that's relevant to you. And then when we go into Content Suite, we see that these documents are migrated into the correct folder, and let's have a look at the categories and attributes that are assigned to them. So in this case, we have the original file path, we have the drug name, and we have a disposition date that we calculated inside of our tool as well. So this allows a query-based, content-based migration into systems. So you no longer have to create a big Excel spreadsheet with all known files and then manually populate that with information about what the attribution should be. All you have to do is just know how to ask the right questions. Be able to say things like, I would like to find all of the documents that are drug submissions. I'd like to find all the ones that are for a particular drug. And then the system itself goes and finds that information and moves it into the right place. So that's a combination of artificial intelligence, feeding in lists of information, and all of this results in higher quality data management and less user interaction. So that lends itself to the goal that we had of moving up our manual capability of being able to migrate files and getting more and more information in there without having to have more people access this information. Using the Shinydocs Cognitive Suite, we can create more linkages between cases and accounts, assets, people, processes, regulations, and transactions, all to the documents, and make sure they get migrated into the right location. And if you choose to leave some of that content behind, then that's okay. You can still make it findable using our enterprise search, and you can still attribute that content as well and give it a nice enterprise lifecycle so that you can make sure that all of the information is managed in a heterogeneous way.
So there's just a little of what Shinydocs can do. Join us at our industry breakouts as we ask our experts questions around what is the true cost of data management, whether it's possible to understand 100% of your content, how to get corporate buy-in for information governance programs, how to reduce the cost and complexity of data preparation prior to an ECM project, and what does the future of content management look like. Just a note, we know everyone is vying for your attention these days with virtual events, Zoom calls, and online webinars. And we feel you, so we've kept these sessions short. We'll also make sure you have access to them on demand after the event, so be sure to register for the sessions and sign up, even if the session is set for 2 a.m. in your particular time zone. We'll follow up and make sure you get access to the content. If you have any questions or want to learn more about moving to document understanding, driving executive buy-in, increasing adoption of your content server investment, or just recognizing what business problems understanding all of your enterprise data can solve, feel free to contact us at sales@shinydocs.com. Thank you.